Today we're going to furtherly practice drawing in isometric. You're going to draw some clocks. Using the A3 underlay here, you're going to use paper, probably A4 paper, and you're going to trace some designs. You're reminded that I'm working in pen so that it shows up. Design a clock for a mantelpiece or a shelf so that it can sit on its bottom. You'll need to use the main basic shape here. So you're going to trace that design, which if you're good at using the isometric grid, you can use independently just using a blank sheet. You're then going to choose to put a base on it or a top on it. So I'm going to put a little stepped base on the bottom. So I'm going to line up this part here with this part here. So you can see I've now lined mine up so that it's lined up with that on there. And then I'm going to trace the base section that is pre-drawn on the bottom, like that. I'm then going to put a top on it. So on this particular one, I'm going to put the slopey top. So I'm going to line up these 2 points, here and here, with these 2 points, here and here. So you can see that I've drawn my top layer. Don't worry about this line, it will disappear when we put the colour onto it. Next, I'm going to put the detail of the dial on. So we need the little instep. So I'm going to line that up on there, and I'm going to use the little detail I've drawn on there for you, complete with the centre for the hands. And then you need to put your hands, in this case, either 10:2 or 20:4. So I'm going to pick 20:4. So I'm going to draw my hour hand, which is the shorter one, and my minute hand, which is the longer one. The hour hand tends to be short and a little bit fatter or have a blob on it to indicate that it's the hour hand. And the minute hand tends to be long and thin. Remember that the minute hand will go right through to here, so you won't really see all of it. So there we have a design. However, you can change that design quite a bit by using the multiple steps here, which is what we're going to do next. So if you draw that basic top design there, and I'm just going to put that line in very lightly, you can see that underneath I've given you a block that will allow you to extend it. So I can make that a longer clock. And if I wanted to make it even longer, I can move that up so that this line joins up with that line, like that. And I could make that even longer. So I've now made a lot longer drawing using these building blocks. I can also make the clock thicker by adding on the thickness at the back here. And again, doing the same again. If I want to make it longer, I can move it up and draw the thickness, and I can move it up and I can draw the thickness. So I can actually make quite a thick, fat clock. I can do exactly the same with the dial. I can put my dial detail on there. And then I can move it, in this case, down a bit. So that it matches a little bit like that. Obviously, in this case, the centre of the dial is no longer going to be right down the bottom. It's going to be up at the top. So I would put that in the middle section there and copy that bit. And that would then give me the middle of my clock. I'd obviously have to have quite short hands still, so that my dial would probably only come up to about here, in which case I could use this element to actually put my numbers onto. So if I line that up with the centre here, and I use maybe the middle ring, I can then trace that middle ring and that would give me my dial to go in the middle. I can then put my hands on, this time perhaps at 10 to 2. So there's my hour hand. And I can put my 12 and my 3 and my 6 and a little bit of my 9 on there. Don't forget that if you want to show it has glass, you can use a ruler, and you can simply put a ruler across here and just put a couple of lines quite close together, and I can do the same here. And that will just make it look a little bit like it has glass on it. Your job is to create a number of different designs. You can try adding shade, light, medium, and a little bit of a dark edge on here. Even if you apply colour and just apply a light tone and a medium tone to the rest, it will improve your designs no end. Similarly, you could use a little bit of colour and just put a little bit of colour, or maybe even just a pencil mark around the bottom here to show that it's sat on something, so that you get the idea that there's something there that it's sitting on. Have a play and experiment. Use all the shapes on there. You've got a range of bases, a range of tops, and see what different designs you can come up as, just as little sketches like this. If you want to impress me, you can add annotations about materials, about sizes, and generally make the drawings look like they're actually good sketches. The more you practice, the better your drawings will become.